The Quran is uncreated, and the Quran is Allah's speech. But Muhammad taught that the Quran speaks and will appear in visible form, and that chapters of the Quran will appear separately in visible shape and speak and argue with Allah. Here it is, Sahih Muslim. Sahih Muslim, right there. Sahih Muslim. Talk about confusion. Abu Umama, the father Yamama, said, he heard Allah's messenger say, recite the Quran, for on the day of resurrection, it will come as an intercessor for those who recite it. So the Quran will intercede for you if you recite it. Intercede to who? To Allah. But it's Allah's speech. How can Allah's speech intercede with Allah? Does that mean Allah is interceding with himself? So Allah will appear as the Quran to then intercede with himself and speak to himself? Oh, but hold on, it gets a little more confusing. Watch here. Recite the two bright ones, Al-Baqarah and Surah Al-Imran. That's chapters 2 and 3 of the Quran. Why? For on the day of resurrection, they will come. They're going to appear visibly so you can see them. Either as two clouds or two shades or two flocks of birds in ranks. So you're going to see the chapters of the Quran, 2 and 3, appearing. Hey, there goes chapter 2. Hey, how you doing? I'm all right, kiddo. Yourself? Oh, look, there's chapter 3. Hey, chapter 3. Glad to see me? And they will come and they will be pleading for those who recite them. Pleading with who? With Allah. Recite Surah Al-Baqarah, for to take recourse to it is a blessing, and to give it up is a cause of grief, and the magicians cannot confront it. Muawiyah said, it has been conveyed to me that here, batala means magicians. Now, guys, help me understand this, can you? Can you help me? I'm tired and it's late and I'm not that intelligent. The Quran, the uncreated speech of Allah, it's the speech of Allah, meaning it's his speech, it's his talk. How can chapters of the Quran appear separately and take on shape and form, either as birds or shades or clouds, and then argue with Allah and beg Allah to forgive those that recited them if these chapters are Allah's speech? Can you help me? Can you help me understand? Does this mean Allah is going to manifest as the Quran and the chapters of the Quran appear in a different mode and then argue with himself and convince himself to forgive those that recited the Quran? Because this is Allah speaking, right? You with me there? Yep, exactly. You got it. Surah 434. Beat them. Pray for me. Beat your wives. All right. But now, wait. Jami Tirmidhi. Jami Tirmidhi. Hassan. You see? Hassan. It's good. Okay. Watch here. You guys laughing? We'll do a part 3 on this. So you can see it now from sunnah.com. I gave you the link. Here it is. Chapter, indeed, the one who does not have the Quran inside him is like the ruined house. Narrated Abu Hurairah, that the Prophet said, the one who memorizes the Quran shall come on the day of judgment. Come on the day of judgment. And the reward for reciting Quran says, now notice how much they lied. Dude, I'm going to block you. I'm not going to listen to a 5-minute clip and I'm live. Who are you? All right, anyway. Then the Prophet said, the one who memorizes the Quran shall come on the day of judgment. Right? Says, oh Lord, decorate him. Now notice, the words, the reward for reciting is not there. The Quran will say, oh Lord, decorate him. So he is donned with the crown of nobility. Then it says, oh Lord, give him more. So he's donned with a suit of nobility. Then it says, oh Lord, be pleased with him. So he is pleased with him and says, recite and rise up and increase and reward every ayah. Hassan, Jami Tirmidhi, Volume 5, Book 42, Hadith 2915. Okay, it's going to get more ridiculous. Watch this. Jami Tirmidhi. Now this one, This one you can find, it's here. The other link, it's defunct. Bayhaqi transmitted in Shu'ab al-Iman. Jami Tirmidhi, narrated by Abdullah ibn Amr. Allah's messenger said, fasting, and by the way, Muslim scholars admit, don't let them lie to you today. Muhammad believed everything has consciousness and everything will appear visible. Even death will appear visibly and be slaughtered, sign that death has been killed. So Muhammad even imagined that your fasting will appear visibly and conscious to then testify on your behalf. And the Quran intercede for a man. Fasting says, "O my Lord, I have kept him away from his food and his passions by day, so your fasting will come to life and appear in a visible fashion and speak to defend you. Look, Allah used to fast, and I kept him up. Reward him." The Quran says, "I have kept him away from sleep by night, so accept my intercession for him." Talk about Looney Tunes religion. Exactly, Joel. What was he smoking indeed? Well, this is your brain when it's stoned on the black stone. Kissing the black stone, weeping on it, touching it. He was stoned. Too much kissing the black stone. Okay, but watch the implication. In reports classified as Hassan, good, Jalal Abu Arub's prophet even claimed the Quran will appear as a pale man. It was narrated that Buraida said, "I heard the prophet say, the Quran will meet its companion on the day of resurrection when his grave is open for him in the form of a pale man." So now the Quran will appear as a man. So Allah's speech will appear as a man, a pale man, a white man, not a black man. It will say to him, "Do you recognize me?" He will say, "I do not recognize you." It will say, "I am your companion, the Quran." Now envision the scenario. Let's envision it, shall we? Okay, imagine. You're in the grave, you come out. Here, let me visualize it, okay? Here, let me do this. La 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 la. Something. A pale man comes. Okay, this is a pale man. "Hey, hey, how are you? How are you?" "I'm fine." "Yourself?" "I'm okay." "You don't recognize me, do you?" "No." "I'm the Quran." "The Quran? Dude, when I was on earth, you were a book that I recite." "Yeah, but now I'm appearing as a pale man because I'm here to defend you. I'm your attorney. And I'm going to go before Allah and tell Allah, I kept you up at night and you recited me." "Thank you, Quran." "Well, you're welcome. Can I get a kiss?" "Sure." By the way, this is not toilet paper, what I have. So here you go. "I am your companion, the Quran, who kept you thirsty on hot days and kept you awake at night. Every merchant benefits from his business, and today you will benefit from your good deeds. He will be given dominion in his right hand and eternity's left, and there will be placed on his head a crown of dignity, and his parents will be clothed with priceless garments, the like of which have never been seen in this world. They will say, why have we been clothed with this?" It will be said, "Because your son used to recite Qur'an." Then it will be said to him, "Recite and ascend in the degrees of paradise." And he'll continue to ascend so as long as he recites either a fast pace or a slow pace. Now, narrated by Ahmad in Al-Musnad and Ibn Majah in Al-Sunan, classed as Hassan, good. Don't let him lie to you like Fat Boy Farouk Ibn Zinna, who took his Muslim friend's wife, by Al-Busayri and Al-Zawaid, and by Al-Albani, even Al-Albani, in this work, Al-Silsila Al-Sahiha, he deemed it Hassan, good. And here's the translation from Ibn Majah. Hassan, good. Hassan. And the link to it here. Okay? On here. It was narrated from Ibn Buraida that his father told that the Messenger of Allah said, the Quran will come on the day of resurrection like a pale man and will say, I am the one that kept you awake at night and made you thirsty during the day. Hassan, Volume 5, Book 33, Hadith 3781. Now, can I ask you guys a question? Remember, I'm not that intelligent. Isn't the Quran the speech of Allah? His speech, his speaking, his word uncreated? That's what they tell me. So how does the Quran appear as a pale man, speaking to the man, and going before Allah, and defending him before Allah, and asking Allah to forgive him? I thought this is Allah's speech. How does Allah's speech speak back to Allah? Is this Allah appearing in a different mode, so we have Islamic modalism? Or does it imply something else? Let's see. Let's see if it implies something else. All right. And here, in case Fat Boy Fibbin says this is not a sound narration like he tried to do last time when he got embarrassed, here a prominent Salafi website says, look, and it was narrated from Burayda that the prophets of the Quran will come on the day of resurrection like a pale man, and will say, I am the one that kept you awake at night and made you thirsty during the day. Narrated Ibn Majah, classed as Sahih by Al-Busayri and Al-Zawa'id, and by Ibn Hajar and Al-Ma'talib Al-Awliya. So Ibn Hajar and Busayri said it's sound. Al-Albani said in Da'if Ibn Majah, it is Da'if, but may be classed as Hasan. It was classed as Hasan because of the hadith of Abu Hurairah and Al-Silsala Al-Sahiha. Yeehaw! Right, boy! All right, now, not to bore you to tears, let's now go on to another section. So the Quran is an intercessor whose intercession will be accepted, an opponent whose testimony will be accepted. Now, we're going to look at a final one. Watch here. Final one. And then I'm going to ask some questions. We got it, the pale man. This is all showing that this hadith is sound. Don't let Fat Boy lie to you. Right? Okay, so let's scroll down. I don't want to read all. You can read it. But learn the arguments and share them. Obliterate Islam for the glory of Jesus Christ. In authentic hadith, the Quran comes out as a pale man to meet the person that comes out of his graves. Now, this one here, and it's online. This one here, it's online. The excellent qualities of the Quran. Darimi transmitted it. Darimi transmitted it. Mishkat al-Masabih, Book 8, Hadith 66. You ready? You want to laugh? Recite the rescuer. Rescue means the one that delivers you. The one who saves you and delivers you. A-L-M, Alif, Lam, Mim. So recite chapter 32. Why? Because it's going to rescue you. It's going to save you. For I have heard that a man who had committed many sins used to recite it and nothing else. It spread its wings over him and said, so this chapter of the Quran will have wings. It'll appear as a bird. And then it will cover you with its wings. And then tell Allah, to protect you from Allah, my Lord, forgive him. For he often used to recite me. So the Lord Most High made it an intercessor for him. So Allah accepted what chapter 32 said. So Allah gave in to the demands of chapter 32, which is supposedly a speech. Record from a good deed and raise him a degree in place of every sin. Khalid said also, it will dispute on behalf of the one who recites it when he is in his grave. So chapter 32 is going to dispute for you, argue for you, defend you by saying what? Oh God, if I'm a part of thy book, make me an intercessor for him. But if I'm not a part of thy book, blot me out of it. What the hell is going on here? Chapter 32, which is Allah's speech, will appear separately from the other chapters and tell Allah, you better make me an intercessor. If not, then erase me from your book. I don't want to have anything to do with your book. What the hell, dude? Are you guys like confused here? What the hell? But then notice, there's another chapter that will also do the same thing. It will be like a bird putting its wing on him. It will intercede for him and will protect him from the punishment in the grave. So the chapters of the Quran can appear separately, appear in visible form and shape separately, and they all speak. And they speak to the ones reciting these chapters and to Allah. He said the same about blessed is he. That means even chapter 67 will rescue you. Khalid did not go to sleep at night till he had recited them. Taus said they were given 60 virtues more than any other surah in the Quran. Okay, I'm confused here. Let me understand this. Each chapter of the Quran can appear separately. Each chapter of the Quran is a living, conscious entity that can speak and be spoken to. And we're told the Quran will appear as a pale man. Chapters 2 and 3 of the Quran will appear as clouds or shades or flocks of birds. And chapters 32 and 67 will appear as birds. And they will cover Muslims with their wings and plead with them, argue for them, and make Allah forgive them and save them. Do you caught it? Leave Joel here now. Let him just listen. So now let's count the present Quran, 114 chapters. All are uncreated, no beginning. All of them can speak separately from one another and speak to Allah. Now this either means there are 114 gods, Allah being the 115th, or there are 115 eternal, uncreated, divine persons, so that the Muslim God is not a trinity. The Muslim God is, what's the word? 115 persons. And they all can talk to one another, appear separately in visible form from one another, argue with one another. Or you have Islamic modalism, where Allah will manifest as all these different surahs and speak to himself and argue with himself. Yeah, both of you. Isn't it ironic? You both said the same thing, ironically. Talk about confirmation. He said, Allah, we are legion. And this guy said legion right after you. Even this one here, look, wow. You caught it? So now, who is Allah speaking to? I guess he's speaking to the Quran speaking to him. But the Quran is a speech. So is Allah speaking to himself? Or is the Quran 114 eternal, uncreated, divine persons, so that you have at least 115 Allahs or persons of Allah? And because they're inseparable, so in a sense, Allah is speaking to himself. And yet they want to make fun of Christians. Okay, now let's deal with another issue. I hope you're enjoying this. Let's see if I have to do a part 3 or not. We'll see. Let's see here. You and me, all the people. Yeah, let's do this one. Yep, the final one. This one here, we're going to have some fun. You ready? Oh, girls, they want to have fun. All girls want to have fun. Want to have fun. Girls want to have fun. Girls just want to have fun. What in the world they, what in the world they ain't no man. What in the world they ain't all fun. Girls just want to have fun. Sing it now. Okay, now before I go into this, I want to ask another question. Let's go to my Quran browser. Okay, I want you to help me understand this one. Oh, girls, they want to have fun. Okay, help me understand this, guys, okay? Let me get a more literal translation. That's not a literal one. Let me see. Yep, this is literal. Hilali Khan, 2106. Okay, the verses of the Quran are the speech of Allah, right? The verses of the Quran are the speech of Allah, right? There are 360 gods and goddesses in the Kaaba. Now, King of the Ages, help me to help you. Please stay focused. Whatever a verse do we abrogate or cause to be forgotten. So Allah is saying, if there's a verse that has been canceled out or forgotten, we bring a better one or similar to it. Know you not that Allah is able to do all things? Okay, guys. Number, all the verses, and your question, tell her I haven't even tried to sing. I'm just making fun. By the way, I haven't seen you in ages of your question. Hope you're doing good. You doing good? It's been ages. Anyway. Okay, let me ask you a question again. Whatever verse do we abrogate, cause to be forgotten, we bring a better one or similar to it. Okay, now if all the verses are the speech of Allah, do you understand, Mr. Henry? Focus, Mr. Henry. You're not helping me by commenting. I know you're excited to destroy Islam, but just listen. If all the verses of the Quran are the speech of Allah, Allah's speech is perfect, unmatchable, impeccable. If so, how can some verses be better than other verses or similar? Are you telling me that there are parts of Allah's speech that are better than other parts of his speech? So that at times Allah doesn't speak as clearly and other times he speaks in a much more polished, eloquent manner? Can you help me understand this? Can you help me understand that? Guys, help me figure it out. See, that's why Ortho Q, you probably have to go, brother. Ortho, you don't mind, you're not going to be sad when I send you out here, right? To Mike Winger, because you didn't get my point. Ortho, you know I love you, brother, right? But it was nice knowing you, huh? Make sure you say hi to Mike Winger to me, all right? Okay. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. It was nice knowing you, though. What day is it? Did it work, the block, by the way? I just want to make sure. Can you make sure it worked? Yeah, it did. All right. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Mike Winger's waiting for you, okay? Guy doesn't control. He can't control himself, man. No matter how many times I tell this dude, the guy is just like a demon, bro, pricking him. They'll say Allah can revise it. That wasn't my question. But you can tell that to Mike Winger. All right, now, do you understand why Ortho just showed his stupidity because he didn't understand the point? It's not about Allah revising the Quran. All of the Quran is Allah's speech. All of the Quran is Allah's speech. Every verse is Allah's speech. How can Allah say that there's one part of his speech better than another part of his speech or similar? If Allah's speech is perfect, impeccable, infallible, unlike anything in creation, and he speaks flawlessly, how can one part of his speech excel another part of his speech? Does that mean throughout time Allah's speech improved, so he got better at speaking? Yeah, Mr. Henry, don't waste your time. That's why Arthur had to go. He didn't learn. Everyone got it? You see the problem here? But now let's go to the nightmare. Let's go to nightmare. This article here, it's in the description box. Gave you the link. Now watch here. Guys, you want to be blown away? Remember, all these verses are uncreated. They've always existed, right? All right. Watch here. Look at how many times the Quran's going to say the Quran is clear. The Quran is fully detailed. Explains everything. Explains all its verses clearly. Look how many times. Look, there's so many, I probably won't be able to read all of them. And I show you when these verses were composed according to Muslims. Some in Medina, some in Mecca. Thus doth God make clear signs in order that you may understand. 242. Chapter 11, verse 1. Alif Lam Ra, a book whose verses are set clear. 15, verse 1. ALR, these are the ayats of revelation of a Quran that makes things clear. All right, let's skip this part. Let's go here. Mecca, 655. And thus do we explain the ayat in detail, the verses in detail. Notice, in detail, fully detail, right? And again, chapter 6, verse 97, 98. We have indeed explained in detail our ayat. Ayat means the verses. In detail, we've explained it. And then if you still don't get it, he ends it by saying, indeed, we have explained in detail our revelations. This Quran for people who understand. 6105. Then we explain variously the verses that we may make the matter clear. All right. 6114. Shall I seek a judge other than Allah while it is He who has sent down unto you the book explained in detail? In detail, right? 6126. We have detailed our revelations. 732. Thus we explained the ayat in detail for people who have knowledge. 752. Certainly we have brought to them a book which we have explained in detail with knowledge. 174. Thus do we explain the ayat in detail. I mean, how many times does he have to repeat it? In Mecca and Medina. 1037. Right? And this Quran is not such as could ever be produced by other than Allah, but is a confirmation of which was before, and a full explanation of the book. Completely, fully. 9:11. We explain the ayat in detail. Still not getting it? Chapter 11, verse 1. This is a book whose verses have been made firm and free from imperfection, and then they have been expounded in detail. Oh, you're still not getting it. All right. Chapter 12, verse 111. Right? Indeed, in their stories, there's a lesson for men of understanding. It, the Quran, is not a forged statement, but a confirmation of Allah's existing books and a detailed explanation of everything. Notice, not some things, not most things. Everything in this book is explained. Everything. Still don't get it? 1689. And we have sent down to thee the book explaining all things, meaning everything in this book will be explained thoroughly. 30:28. Thus do we explain the signs in detail. Now watch this passage. I'm going to quote in two different translations. 41 verse 3. A book whereof the verses are explained in detail. The verses are explained in detail. A book that explains all things. All right, now notice another translation, 41:3. A scripture whose verses provide the complete details in an Arabic Quran for people who know. All right, is it clear? These verses are uncreated. They've always existed. Could it be any clearer that the Quran claims this book explains all things in detail clearly, explains everything, right? Okay, now we have a problem, Houston. We have a problem. Here's the problem, Houston. We have the problem, Houston. Surprise, Muhammad. Chapter 3, verse 7. Chapter 3, verse 7. It is he who sent down upon thee the book, wherein are verses clear, that are the essence of the book. The clear verses are the mother of the book. Oh, behold, wait. And others ambiguous. What? As for those in whose hearts is swerving, they follow the ambiguous part. Those whose hearts are doubtful, they follow the unclear verses, desiring dissension, to use them to divide people, right? And desiring its interpretation, and none knows its interpretation save only God. And those firmly root in knowledge say, we believe in it, all is from our Lord, yet none remembers, but men possess the minds. What the hell? Let me enlarge it. What? What the hell? Not all the verses are clear. There are verses in this book that are ambiguous. No one knows what they mean except Allah, God. And only those who are perverse in heart focus on the ambiguous verses to cause dissension. But if you fear Allah, avoid them. What? Now, let's do the burial, shall we? Exactly. Now, focus, guys, so you can learn. And the materials are there. Bible Student KJV. Do your part to win Muslims for the Lord Jesus Christ. Bible Student KJV. You got the material. Okay, let me ask you a question. How can you have unclear verses in the Quran when I just quoted to you several passages, clear, things clear, explained in detail, explained in detail, explained in detail, explained in detail, in detail. Not some, it says the book. And here, in case you think it's some, a detailed explanation of everything. We sent down a book explaining all things. Provide the complete details. How then can you have unclear verses? Right? Let me show you. Others are ambiguous, unclear. How? Number 2, where does the Quran tell you how many unclear verses there are and where are they found? In other words, if I want to make sure I don't focus on an unclear verse so I don't get Allah angry, I need to know how many unclear verses there are, where they are located to avoid them. How many are there? We don't know. The Quran doesn't say. Where are they located? We don't know. The Quran doesn't say. Okay, third problem. If only Allah knows what they mean, of what use, of what purpose does it serve to send down unclear verses that benefit no one because no one knows what they mean? And if you don't know what they mean, how then can you apply them? How can you apply them? Can you help me out? And fourthly, how can Allah's speech be unclear? Because remember, the verses are all the speech of Allah. Again, we have Allah saying that certain parts of his speech are unclear and you can't figure it out and you can't understand it. Then why then reveal it? If these verses do not benefit Muslims and Muslims cannot be guided by them, then why reveal them? Right? But now, you know what's funny, guys? You want to laugh? Then we're going to wrap it up on one more point. You want to laugh? Here's what's funny. You see, it says a book whose verses are set clear. You'll find in many chapters of the Quran certain letters, Arabic letters, Alif, Lam, Ra, which will be abbreviated as ALR. Did you know, guys, this is a fact, did you know that to this day, no Muslim knows the meaning of those letters? No Muslim knows what those letters mean and why they're there. But hold on. I thought we're told this book, whose verses have been expounded in detail, and a detailed explanation of everything. Right? Now notice the contradiction. Here you have chapter 11, verse 1, whose verses, right, have been made firm and have been expounded in detail, and yet it begins with these 3 letters, Alif, Lam, Ra, and you ask any Muslim what it means, no one knows what it means. Then how can the Quran explain everything, a detailed explanation of everything, a book explaining all things, a book that expounds the verses in detail, when it doesn't even tell you what these letters mean and why they're there?